Okay, we're on to page 2, and all I did was flip my paper over and I folded it in half so that I had a little more room on my desk to work. Okay, in this situation here, we're going to work with non-common denominators. Before we try to add fractions, they must have a common denominator. And the easiest way to find that is multiply the bottoms together. That's the easiest way to do it. So in this case, 5 times 4, that's where the 20 comes from. 5 times 4, that's where this 20 comes from too. And remember, whenever you add two fractions together that already have common denominators, in this case, after we change them, that denominator is in the answer. Some of you might be thinking, well, where's that 4 and where's that 5 come from? Okay, well, how did I get from 5 to 20 in this first fraction? Well, I multiplied by that 4 over here, right? Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I multiplied the bottom times 4. I also have to multiply the top times 4. 4 times 1, that's 4. Same thing with the second fraction, but in this case I multiplied by 5. Remember, I multiplied the 4 times this 5 to get this 20. So I have to multiply 5 times that 1. That's where this 5 comes from. Now that we have common denominators, we can add straight across the top. 4 plus 5 is 9. Final answer, 9 over 20. Okay, let's try one. 7 and 3. Our common denominator here is going to be 7 times 3, which is 21. Okay, now, the only thing I have to do yet is change the tops to match how I changed the bottoms. What did I do to 7 to get 21? Well, I multiplied by this 3. So from here to here, you have to go through a change of times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. And we already know that 7 times 3 gave us our 21 downstairs. Over here, how did I get from 3 to 21? Well, I multiplied times 7. So in order to go from this fraction to this fraction, I have to go through a change of multiply by 7. 3 times 7 was 21. That's down here. 2 times 7 is 14. Now that we have common denominators, we can add straight across the top. 9 plus 14 is 23. 23 over 21 is our final answer. All right, let's try one more with addition. Remember, just multiply the bottoms together. That's the easiest way to do it. 27, 27. The only time you multiply the bottoms together is when they don't match. If they already match, go ahead and add or subtract across the top. But in this case, since they don't match, we have to multiply these together. Okay, how did I get from 9 to 27? I multiplied by 3. How did I get from 3 to 27? I multiplied by 9. Okay, so 9 times 3 is 27. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 9 was 27. 1 times 9 is 9. So now we have 6 plus 9, which is 15 over 27. Now we have a situation again where we don't have a fraction that is reduced. We have to take out a common factor here. The common factor is 3. 15 divides by 3 5 times, and 27 divides by 3 9 times. So our final answer is actually 5/9 because this fraction will reduce. Okay, now let's move on to subtraction. There's an example out here. Whoops, let's get it on screen. Here's an example out here that I'm not going to spend any time going over because, well, you can look at it. The thing of it is these work exactly the same as the addition problems, just we're going to subtract. Remember, multiply your bottom numbers together to get the common denominator. 9 times 3 is 27. Now, how did I get from 9 to 27? Well, I multiplied times 3. How did I get from 3 to 27? I multiplied by 9. 7 times 3 is 21. 2 times 9 is 18. Okay, so I'm left with 21 minus 18, which is 3 27ths. There's a common factor in this fraction also. It's 3, so let's reduce by a factor of 3. Final answer to this one I'm going to move up here since I ran out of room. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 27 divided by 3, 9. That's the final answer for that guy. Okay. Last example we have like this. We have 5 nines minus 1/4. 9 times 4 is 36. How did I get from 9 to 36? Well, I multiply times this 4. How did I get from 4 to 36? Well, I multiply times that 9. Okay. 5 times 4 is 20 over here. 1 times 9 is 9 over here. Simple subtraction across the top, 11. And remember, the bottom stays the same, 11/36. All right, let's move on to mixed numbers and improper fractions. The first thing we're going to do is get an example of a mixed number. A mixed number is a mixture of a fraction and a whole number. Do you see the whole number out front and the fraction here? This is a mixture of the two. That's why we call it a mixed number. Most fractions we're used to seeing look like, well, this guy right here, 2/3, if you ignore the 3, 2/3, or some of the fractions we worked with up above, like right here, 18 over 27, 21 over 27. Notice how the smaller number usually is on top. That's called a proper fraction. An improper fraction puts the bigger number on the top, so something like 5/3 or 7/2. Okay? So this is a mixed number. That's an improper fraction. Now, we need to know how to change in between these two in order to do problems that look like this down at the bottom of the page. The easiest way to do these is change these mixed numbers into improper fractions. And here's how we do that. Multiply the bottom times the front. In this case, 5 times 12, which is 60. Then you add the top, 61, and then put it over top of what was already on the bottom. Let's try one more example of that. 2 times 8, 16, bottom times front, at the top, 17, over what was already in the bottom, 2. Now what we need to do is find a common denominator here. Now, that part is already worked out up here, but this is the steps used when we don't change these to mixed number or improper fractions. I'm not a huge fan of this, so let's X that out. I would rather we did them this way, okay? So next step, find a common denominator by multiplying the bottoms together. 5 times 2 is 10. Now what we need to do is multiply our tops by whatever we multiply the bottoms by. Change the tops to match the way we change the bottoms. All right, so 61, 2 times 61. How did I get from 5 to 10? I multiplied by 2, so I have to multiply 61 by 2. That's 122. 5 times 17. Let me get my calculator for that one. 5 times 17 is 85. Now we're just going to add together 207 over 10, and that's the final answer. The same thing goes if we are subtracting. Remember, draw an X through this. I'm not a big fan of it. We're going to do them this way, okay? Let's change these mixed numbers to impropers. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 4 is 44 over 5, minus 10 times 2, which is 20, plus 3 is 23 over what was already there, 10. Okay, common denominator, just multiply the bottoms together. It's the easiest way to do it. How did I get from 5 to 50? I multiplied by 10. So 44 times 10 is 440. How did I get from 10 to 50 multiplied by 5? 5 times 23 is, oh, I need my calculator again for that one. 5 times 23, 115. Okay, so let's go get our final answer here. 440 minus 115, and that leaves us with 325 over 50. Okay, that is all for this page. Let's move on to the next video for page 3.